Every day we avoid things that could potentially kill us. For some people, especially some of my friends, it's a miracle that they're even still alive. But there's a new threat that seems to be spreading rapidly, and the bad news is the government's doing nothing to stop it. This threat is a chemical known as DHMO. DHMO is a deadly chemical that is not regulated well at all. My purpose today is to raise awareness of this chemical so you can take the necessary steps to protect yourself from this chemical. As a chemistry major, I deal with dangerous chemicals all the time, but they're appropriately listed as hazardous. For example, some of the chemicals I get to play with are nitric acid and sodium hydroxide. And when these chemicals are dilute, they're not a problem. But in high concentrations, sodium hydroxide can tear the skin off your hands. But the problem is DHMO is more common than all of these dangerous chemicals that I play with in lab. If you want to protect yourselves from the harmful effects of DHMO, you need to be aware of what it is and where it is found. Today I will show you a little bit about the chemical properties of DHMO. It's important to know a little bit of chemistry in order to understand how DHMO works and why it is so dangerous. I will also share with you some of the effects that this chemical has on your body and the environment. And then hopefully by the end of this speech, you'll know how to avoid DHMO and how to protect yourself from its harmful effects. Because, let's face it, you're the only one who can protect yourself. Alright, so first let's talk about the chemical properties of DHMO. DHMO is also known as hydroxylic acid. And it's a polar molecule, which means some of the electrons like to spend more time at one part of the molecule than another. If you'll imagine this flashlight as pretend it's a molecule, and we'll have electrons that flow all the way around it, But when a molecule is polar, like DHMO, the electrons will spend more time on one side than the other. Just because some of the atoms that make up DHMO are more electronegative, which means they like electrons more, and so they'll kind of hog them. And this gives DHMO its unique chemical properties and makes it so dangerous. DHMO exists in all three states, the gas state, the liquid state, and the solid state. And each one of these states of DHMO presents its own unique, devastating effects. And so now that I've bored you with a little chemistry, let's talk about what DHMO actually does and some of the effects it can have. First, some of the effects on the environment. DHMO is a contributor to the greenhouse effect. We always talk about carbon dioxide and all these other things. Well, DHMO is another one of those things. It contributes to the erosion of natural landscapes. And, we like to keep things nice. We like the water running down the hills and everything looking pretty, but DHMO is destroying that. DHMO increases the rate of erosion and rust on many metals, and it reacts with some metals so violently that it causes explosions. That's how dangerous DHMO is. It's also been known to cause electrical failures, and if it gets in your car brakes, it can destroy your car brakes and make it so you won't be able to stop. That's bad. Now that's just some of the environmental effects of DHMO, but let's talk about what they can do to you. When not handled carefully, DHMO can cause severe burns. I talked a little bit about how sodium hydroxide can do the same thing, or some of these other acids, but DHMO is just the same. If you don't handle it correctly, you'll get burned. Prolonged exposure to solid DHMO causes some severe tissue damage. If you get this stuff on your hands, you leave it there, you'll destroy your hands. DHMO is fatal if inhaled, which is where the majority of DHMO accidents occur. It's really quite sad. DHMO is also found in the tumors of terminal cancer patients, again indicating how deadly it is. And some of the symptoms of DHMO ingestion include excessive sweating and urination, a possibility of a bloating feeling, nausea, vomiting, and a body electrolyte imbalance. See, these aren't good things. They make you really sick. So the last thing, now that you kind of know what DHMO can do to you and what it can do to your body and your environment, let's talk about how you can avoid it or what kind of substances it's in. Despite the known dangers of DHMO, unfortunately it's found everywhere. And like I said before, the government's doing nothing to prevent its distribution. In industry, DHMO is a common solvent and coolant. DHMO is also used in nuclear power plants. Think of your fire extinguisher. You think your fire extinguisher is there to protect you, right? Truth is, it has DHMO in it too, because DHMO is used as a fire retardant. Many forms of cruel and punishing animal research employs DHMO. And DHMO is used in the distribution of pesticides. And here's the really crummy thing. When it's used to distribute pesticides, even if it's washed off from the fruit or vegetable, DHMO is still contaminating those fruits and vegetables. You can't get rid of it. And so, and again, these are not good things. So in conclusion, DHMO is really more common than you might think. It has chemical properties that can be devastating to both the human body and to the environment. The real problem is it's really spreading rapidly throughout the world, and nobody's doing anything to stop it. And once exposed to DHMO, if you try to get away from it, try to remove it from your system, it will kill you. Your body will build up such a dependency to it that withdrawal is certain death. So I hope you will do some more research and really find out the truth behind this devastating killer. And I hope that you do this, because only you can protect yourself from this terrible killer. Thank you. Oh yeah, we're not done yet. How many people did I trick? How many people are scared? Were you persuaded? Let me tell you what DHMO also is. DHMO is the abbreviated term for dihydrogen monoxide. Some of you might know what dihydrogen monoxide is. If you don't, let me break it down further. Di meaning two, hydrogen, and then mono meaning one, oxide, oxygen, or H2O, or water. Now, if you were fooled thinking that this dangerous chemical is out to get you, you were a victim of persuasion. Now, everything I said about DHMO or water is true. It does cause death. It's deadly if you inhale it. This is called drowning. And many people die from that every year. But what I neglected to say is that DHMO is critical to your health. The purpose of this speech wasn't really to scare you away from drinking water, but we've listened to a lot of persuasive speeches over the last few weeks, and as we go throughout our lives, people will try to persuade us to believe anything. If you were fooled, then you better open your eyes and really understand what I'm trying to say here, because the point of this speech was to get you to realize that you need to do your own research. When people try to persuade you to believe something, like I did, I tried to persuade you to believe that this chemical was harmful and could kill you. They can use anything to tell you that, and everything I said again was true about water. But without doing that research yourself, you could have been led to believe something that wasn't right. So I hope that you'll take this and you'll go, and when someone tries to persuade you to believe something that you're not familiar with, you'll recognize that more research needs to be done. For example, I'm a chemist. I do know my chemistry, and my hope was to convince you that I was a credible source in that. But had you not done your extra research, or had I not told you what DHMO really was, you could have been misled. So whenever you hear something, don't be afraid to do your own research. Don't take anybody's word for at face value without confirming it somewhere else. Thank you.